Hey friends, in today's video, I'm talking about the Glacioclasm high-impact void fusion rifle that is a reward from the Dawning seasonal event. If you followed my channel for a while, you know I'm not a fan of using fusion rifles, and that's not because I don't think they're good, it's the opposite. I think they're so good that they replace primary weapons, and I really like using my primary. Out of all the special weapon categories, I would say that shotguns command this respect of close quarters that people say, you know what, if I pull my shotgun out on that very tight corner, we're probably going to trade, so instead, we should both primary each other. And with every other special weapon in the game, especially fusions, it doesn't work out that way. It's just special jousting, meaning you just both charge a fusion, both cross your fingers and hope for the best, hope that the network likes you more. That's really why I dislike using fusions. The second half of that is that the fusion rifle game plan is very linear, therefore exploitable, but it's going to take a really disciplined player to do so. Which is why I would say that fusion rifle is kind of like junk food. Feels good to eat in the short term, but not a really good long-term nutrition plan. And what I mean by that is a plan to win the game under any scenario. The biggest problem point for counterplay against fusions is trying to guess what charge time they have at a glance, at a sound cue. If you hear them pre-charging the like, oh my god, I want to uninstall. But if you hear that, how do you know if they have a charge time masterwork and accelerated coils? Are you that confident to fly at them when you think they've made a mistake on their pre-charge? Well, the answer to that is the same of why I call it junk food. It's because it will work on high-level players on occasion, but as soon as you start matching the same players in a row, every time you succeed with that fusion rifle, they're gaining a valuable practice rep on how to make you miss, how to bait you into being overconfident, and in the long term, I think their game plan is more absolute. We're lucky that most teams in Destiny are not competitive and also not petty, because if they had to play against fusion rifles 24/7, you'd start seeing players pull out stasis turrets, woven mail, more overshields, Omni Oculus DR, and fly forward with the shotgun with zero fear, because what are you going to do, fusion rifle them? No, you're not going to one burst, so they're going to succeed. And if you try to stack the DR, you're going to get frozen by conditional or hit by duality or chaperone, something like that. So the knowledge that these countermeasures exist make me not want to spend that much time with fusions, which means I'm a noob when it comes to using fusions and the knowledge of fusions. So this is why I watch other fusion rifle content creators and Twitch streams and that type of thing to give me a starting point to reverse engineer their conclusion so I can gain a lot of knowledge really quickly. And to be very abundantly clear on this part, I might even black out the screen and put it in writing, so listen to this. Just because a gameplay strategy is linear, just because something might be easy to use, maybe it's a tier 0 loadout, maybe it's a degenerate strategy, piloting all of those takes skill, and you can be more skilled than someone else using the same thing or something different. It's all on an individual basis. But the reason some of the best players in the game have strong fighting words and critique these type of things is because the game is more fun, fast-paced, and dynamic when you can leverage a difference in skill, knowledge, and execution. When the floor is too accessible and the ceiling too limited, it leads to this very homogeneous, gray type of gameplay where you don't really feel like winning or losing matters, so what's the point of playing? Sorry for the tangent, but that needed to be said so my words are not misconstrued and taken as insulting when I don't mean that whatsoever. So now, moving on, I watch other fusion rifle content creators, I listen to the masses, the perk recommendations on DIM, all of the above. I see what the perks are trending towards on, let's say, the fusion rifles I see out in the wild where they have 50,000 kills on them and whatever. And there are some commonalities, but some commonalities I disagree with for my own specific playstyle. The first disagreement I'm going to have is on the perks that improve the charge rate. Whether you're surrounded, successful warm-up, all of the above. And my reasoning is, I am too inexperienced with fusion rifles to be able to predict when I need that faster charge time, and I often end up just shooting it and missing the opponent completely because I didn't think it was going to shoot that fast. The workaround for this is just to either get used to it, which requires a lot of time, or to always have your crosshair on your opponent, which isn't realistic when you need to be playing cover to optimally play a fusion rifle. I definitely see the vision of hitting this sick flank, pre-charging the first opponent, getting caught, and then saying, alright, I'm just going to take them both with me, and you have successful warm-up queued up, and you just delete 2 people. Sick. I know it happens all the time because it's been done to me. I don't got it like that with the fusion. Instead, the opportunity cost is high impact reserves, which improve the overall consistency of the fusion rifle on specific archetypes under specific scenarios. And the biggest one is Titans are the meta right now. That's all you play. Sometimes they have the extra health, and then other times on like a high impact like Glacioclasm, you cannot 3-bolt kill them at base, which comes up all the time. So on almost every frame except the precision frame, I go for high impact reserves because it's what I need to put down a player in one less bolt. And if you're lucky and have a fusion rifle with liquid coils, well then what you can do is you can switch from whatever you had in the magazine to liquid coils when a special scenario comes up. Like if you're playing 3 Overshield Void Titans, like if you're playing Woven Mail, those type of things. So on screen now is a screenshot of what I would consider my god roll on this, and of course I would want a selection of different perks. Like on the barrel, I'd want to be able to select Arrowhead Break in case I'd like the recoil better with it, or if I need more handling. On the magazine, I would want the range boosting one, and then the option of liquid coils. For main perk 2, the one on the right, non-negotiable, it's high impact reserves, and if I have a choice of a second on the same gun, I'll take Golden Tricorn because it's funny. Or I would take Reservoir Burst to save me a vault space or Controlled Burst if I wanted like a PvEVP roll so I can use it all across the game. On the main perk 1 column, the left column, I go for Repulsor Brace. It's kind of the same reasoning as Successful Warm-Up, where I want to have extra health to be able to fight a second player. That might be the difference between me shooting the fusion rifle at all on a second player or switching to my primary to get the trade. If I'm not running a Void Verb build, then I probably go for Under Pressure even though it's nerfed, and or Slide Shot to better manage reloading the bottom of the magazine. And I know what you're thinking with Slide Shot. Well, aren't you going to slide accidentally and reload it? Yeah, sometimes, but also you're going to clutch up because you have the highest damage version of your fusion rifle up all the time. I know some of y'all are roasting me for choosing Repulsor Brace, but you gotta understand, it's opportunity cost versus every available option, not just every perk on the gun. So for example, I could just be using the Wizen Rebuke from Iron Banner with Skulking Wolf Origin trait to get off the radar for just playing my fusion rifle normally, and then also have access to high impact reserves and maybe a better perk on the main perk 1 column, like Offhand Strike. So now that this question has context, why does Glacioclasm deserve a spot in my vault? And the answer is, it usually doesn't unless it both satisfies a PvE need and a PvP need at the same time. And my original Glacioclasm from last year does that exactly, and that's why I keep it. As you probably noticed by the background gameplay, I'm using the exotic chest piece, the Gyrfalcon Hauberk, so that as I charge the fusion rifle, it breaks invis, which triggers the volatile rounds, and if I succeed in the kill, I get a 45 HP overshield, which helps me fight the next duel. In addition to that, a Void Aspect gives me wall hacks for succeeding with a volatile kill, and then if I get the second kill and I'm weak, I get another overshield from a fragment. So it just allows kill chaining like crazy, not to mention a Devour Orb goes on the floor somewhere. All that put together is really strong, but not the best fusion rifle build for me. I would say if I was going to be a fusion rifle main and I use a high impact, it would be the Wizen Rebuke, and I would use Dragon Shadow so that after I shoot the fusion rifle, I can instant swap to my primary to get the cleanup. That way I could take really ambitious fusion rifle challenges without getting hard punished for it. The second half of that is for trials, where you could be a real meta user, and when you're empty on fusion pre-fires, just switch to a bow. Bungie really needs lock loadouts. I should also add that I find more success with fusion rifle controller than I do on mouse and keyboard, and that is if you play a low sensitivity, you can just barely torque the right stick downward and have the aim assist do a lot of the heavy lifting for you for those extreme shots. And right when you anticipate the first bolt leaving the fusion rifle, slam that stick down. And with this very simple tutorial, combined with other fusion rifle knowledge you garner off YouTube, you will be a fusion rifle user of all time. I hope you enjoyed my Glacioclasm review. I'm going to try to do a couple other dawning weapons, but honestly, if you skip this, I would not feel bad about it. The one thing you need to pick up in the dawning, though, is the Cold Steel Sword, just in case to have it around for lost sectors. Okay, take care friends, I will see you in the next one.